Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a post-game live stream podcast edition of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast. I'm Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and we are going to try and do some fun stuff and have TikTok up as well. So for anyone that's joining in on TikTok, this is an experiment, and I do not have my phone on me. So good luck to anyone who is hoping for stats-based analysis, as I realize that as I'm speaking and panic to bring up the box score for the game. But we're here to talk about the Wolves getting back in the winning track, I guess. I mean, just full transparency, like this is a tough one to analyze. I mean, was there some positives from this game? Certainly. I mean, Farah mentions AO has a really good connection with Rudy. Like, yeah, that's a positive. I'm kind of more in the same category as Ren here in the chat, who says, wow, what a terrible game by the Timberwolves once again, which, let's be honest, like, that's kind of what it was. Like, again, a 10-point win over Golden State, who is battling for a playoff spot. Like, Golden State does have gainfully employed NBA players on their team, which, you know, that's something. Like, Porzingis is a good player. Cam Spencer is a good player as well. Like, Gary Payton too is solid. Like, they have humans on the team that are capable NBA players. Pajensky had a good game. So, like, I don't think it's as like nothing as a win as maybe some of the like discourse online has been, but like, certainly, you know, given the talent the Warriors have, I think you'd like to see the Wolves go out there and kind of maintain the 20-point lead they had at halftime through the third quarter, maybe build on it. And then we're seeing like 5 minutes of the bench guys, which, you know, I always like seeing Julian Phillips, so I would have very much so liked to see Julian Phillips, but that might be just a me thing. I think more, you know, what I'm going to take away from this game is, like, yes, they're back on the winning track. I do think if they had lost this one, it would have been kind of like a hit the emergency button type of situation. Like, I didn't think this was like a must win by any means, but like, if they didn't win this one, I think you have to really look in the mirror as that team and kind of figure out, like, okay, how are we going to compete against playoff teams when, like, we're evidently trying and kind of getting blown out by these lessers, probably not the right word, but like teams below them in the standards, like Golden State, Chicago, Clippers, like they're all the Lakers, like they're all playoff teams. So like, if you're struggling this much against them, like that gets tough really quick. They avoid that by winning. I think it also gives them a little bit of confidence and juice going into the Oklahoma City game, which this isn't really a team that lacks confidence. But, you know, like, you see your shots falling. This was probably their best offensive performance over the last 4 games, which, like, again, if they win, there's not really any great perimeter defenders on this Golden State Warriors team that played today. Like, they're about as banged up as possible, or about as banged up as like a 9 seed playoff team could be at this point. But again, like, it's a professional win, I guess I would say. I would have really liked to see them kind of enforce their will more, but it is what it is. Ren mentions in the chat on the right side, only against the Thunder the Timberwolves actually try. I mean, that's probably the truth. Like, would I be surprised at all if the Wolves went out and beat the Thunder on Sunday? Like, no, this is what this team does. Like, they have the worst 3-game losing streak of the entire season, and then they go out and they, like, you know, coast by a Golden State team and then beat Oklahoma City. Like, that just seems kind of par for the script at this point. But it is just another sign tonight that, like, I really just don't have a lot of answers on what's going on with this team. Like, you know, you see the 3-game losing streak. I think, I'm not on the road trip with them, but being, in that locker room, being able to talk to these guys like when they're at home, like honestly, it's like they do have such a short-term memory. Like it doesn't seem like these games bother them, and that's why I think it kind of continues to happen over and over again. But then when they need to play against Denver or Oklahoma City, I kind of thought it would happen against the Lakers, but like that Lakers game was such a mess that it never really showed up. They just wake up, which that's what pack mentality says. They're going to wake up to play the Thunder. I think that's why, nationally, and I think that's why a lot of people locally even still think this team is going to win a playoff series or two, just because they do. They figure out all of these issues, kind of go to the side when it's time to like really win a game, which honestly, like the more frustrating part might be that they got to the 3 seed and then they just reverted back to all of their old bad habits, which like, come on, guys, you don't need to do it the hard way, right? But it does seem like this team really does kind of need to have that back up against the wall before they really lock in. Joseph chimes in here. That was a G League team. If we need to lock in on defense, I don't know. They do it. Only way it slowed was putting Rudy back into the game. I mean, yeah, honestly, that was one of my. You just look at this box score, right? Golden State scored 28 in the first, 39 in the third, and 30 in the fourth. Like that is a team that, while they have capable NBA players, that is not a team that should be scoring 30 a quarter when you have Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Ayo Dosunmu, Dante. I mean, the list goes on and on of like the talent on this Wolves team. Like they should not be scoring 30 in a quarter, let alone scoring 30, 39, and 28. I mean, you see the ceiling for this team in the second quarter, where they almost double them. They outscore them 38-20, build a 20-point lead. Like shots are falling, the ball's moving, everyone looks bought in. But then, like as fast as they build that up, they kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit, and then Golden State comes flying back into the third, and then we have another game where like Ant is playing until the 30-second mark, because like we've seen them blow these games before against Sacramento and Phoenix. So it's a frustrating win. I know John Krasinski's out there on the West Coast, and I'm sure he's going to ask Finch of like, what do you take away from this, or what's a game like this kind of mean to you guys? And I can almost guarantee you Finch's answer will be like, a win's a win. You take them all at this point. It'll be something along those lines. And then, the team will very quickly pivot to Oklahoma City. And again, we'll see what they come out with that. Ren asks, do you think it's a coaching issue, why they have that mentality? I believe I saw somebody else here mention just kind of the like maturity level of this team. Like I still hesitate to say it's a Finch thing, just because like I don't know what he could do different. Like I do think this team fundamentally has a maturity issue. That's just my opinion, and I think it shows in Ant a lot, and I think it shows in Julius quite a bit too, where like they just don't have that instinct to kind of tighten everything up and just put teams away, or kind of do the easy things, right? Like you beat Chicago, then you don't have to win against Golden State and Oklahoma City. You beat the Clippers, then you don't have to win against Oklahoma City. Like I do think there is something to the maturity of the team. I also don't know what the answer is. Like I see online people throwing out like you got to bench Julius for Nas. Like objectively, I don't disagree with that. Like Nas is having the better season. Like Julius has just been so up and down, and the volatility is just so much. And Nas has just been more consistent, especially as a shooter. Like I don't disagree with that. However, if you bench Julius, a multi-time all-star that has started almost every game he's been here with the Wolves, you risk losing a guy like that for the playoffs, and they can't advance more than probably a round if Julius is just nothing. So it's like you kind of got to have him bought in, right? And guys at his kind of stage of their career where they're like just towards the end of their prime, like starting means a lot. Like making the All-Star game means a lot. We saw the ceiling in the first 2 months of the season where he had a better net rating than Jokic did. I mean, it's just tough. And the Ant side of it too is like, I promise you, Finch is laying into these guys. Like, I don't think that's going to be a happy locker room. Like, I'm guessing it's going to be the locker room that we go into and you can just kind of feel the vibe that everyone just got yelled at. Like, I guarantee you Finch isn't going easy on them. So then it's like, is it a game plan thing? I listened to the snippet of like Dane and Kyle talking about like the chicken or egg of, is it like the game plan's too complicated or is it too simple? Like, most of the guys in the Wolves media have like seen what their game plans look like, and their game plan is like an a la carte of different reading and deception levels. Like, it has, if you want to do the least amount of reading and just want to know what your job is on any given night, they have like 4 bullet points for what you do. If you want to know everybody's tendencies and you want to read a book on a guy, they have that on a different page. Like, it's just tough for me to see like what lever he could pull to get this team to stop doing this without like tanking guys' confidence, I guess is one way to say it. Like, just kind of like risking them get completely out of engagement. I think the other thing is like, this team's gonna have a big roster shift this offseason. Like, I firmly believe that. Like, if you bench Julius now, you tank his value, which like people can say, well, screw it. Like, it's winning a championship. You got to do what you got to do. Like, fair. But like, I don't really think this is a team that's like at a championship level, how they're playing right now. So then it's like, you got to keep one eye on the future as well. Pack mentality brings up thoughts on an Io, Nas, Rudy, Ant, and Jaden lineup. Love it. Same. No notes. I honestly think, that might be the starting lineup next season. I would be very surprised if Dante gets moved. I think the Wolves really like him for culture. Guys on the team really seem to like him. He's just a baller. Like, that dude bit his tongue in half tonight and just stayed in the game. Like, I wouldn't do that. I don't care how much I'm getting paid. I am going home if I bite my tongue in half. Dante, that's just who he is. So like, I don't see him getting moved. I do think there's a world though where like Julius gets moved for like 2 really good bench role players and they go back to having that like 8 starters thing, and Io, Nas, Rudy, Ant, and Jaden are the starting lineup. I don't know where that gets you. I would say it probably doesn't raise the floor from this season, but like, I do think there's a non-0% possibility that like Julius gets moved for pieces, break up the asset, get a couple of younger guys in that are more in that 23, 24 range, and then you just have a deeper team. I'm a big proponent, as people who have listened to this know, of like just go the Harden route with Ant, like sign 3-and-D guys next to him, get him a Clint Capella that Harden had in Houston, or a Dwight Howard. They kind of have that with Rudy, and then just put shooters in space around him. Like, that lineup is shooters in space around Ant. Like, you get 3 guys to come in off the bench that can all hoop and score and play defense. And like, this is basically a more recent version of that same Houston team. Ren, I'm catching up here, says, I feel like accountability from the coach would have changed that, but I feel like I don't really care what he says because it's the same low effort every game. Like, that's why I say, like, I just like, there's only so many times you can really lay in and like yell at guys before it starts getting dull. And I think Finch is good at picking his spots. Like, it's not after every game he's tearing into them, but like, I do think, like, yeah, one thing that kind of has stuck with me since it happened was that one game where like Pablo created like a mixtape reel of like how good they can be and like positive plays of things that work. Like, maybe this team just needs more positivity kind of pumped into them. I mean, Finch, Pablo, Nori, like all of those guys are pretty serious dudes. So like, I don't know how much like goofing around and fun times are happening in film studies. Like maybe it is. They just need to zag and go positive for the next week. The effort thing, though, it like the most frustrating thing is that like the team doesn't hide it, right? Finch calls them out and says like they play like they're bored. They had low energy. They didn't have effort. They're not paying attention to the game plan. And then you go into the locker room and every player goes, yep, we had low effort. We had low energy and we didn't follow the game plan. And it's like, okay, well, why? And then Finch will say, well, that's a question for the players. And the players will usually say something along the line of like, we just need to have more focus. We need more connection. We need to play better together. And like, it doesn't really answer any of the questions, but like they're very honest about the problem, which tells me that they probably don't know what the answer to the question is. They don't know why it happens, which again, we'll find out in the playoffs. If they flip that switch on and things are great, I guess we didn't need an answer to the question and we can go down remembering this team a different way. But if they flame out in the first round, like I hope in like exit interviews, guys are pretty candid of like what happened. Cole adds Randall defense and Kyle was getting beat off the dribble. Team has a small guard issue. They can't defend him. I agree with you wholeheartedly right now. Their small guard problem could be really kind of fixed if Ant just plays the defense that everyone knows he can. Like, I think right now one of their biggest issues is like Jaden is guarding everyone because like Jaden's kind of like one of the consistent defenders that locks in. Again, come playoffs, theoretically, Ant's playing really good defense off ball, really getting into it on ball, fighting through screens. Dante's a fighter. Jaden's great. Io, I think we're kind of seeing there's some cracks in his defense. He's a little overzealous at times, but you know, rather have a guy be too aggressive than not aggressive enough, I'd say. But like the Julius Kyle thing is a concern right now because they don't have the other four guys locked in playing good defense. Like you kind of need the entire group to lock in if you're going to try and hide somebody or mitigate something. I also think like Kyle's still trying to figure it out a little bit of like, you know, he's played with Rudy before, he's played with Jaden, he's played with Ant, but like Dante and Julius are just kind of so foreign to him still that I think I'll be interested to see if Kyle has the same kind of weird defensive struggles 2 weeks from now. I'm just going to do a chat episode since all y'all are talking. Pack mentality. They want the national media to say they aren't contenders, a Lakers in 5 situation. Honestly, like that's probably the truest part of this is like the entire team is underdogs. Like Ant is an underdog story. If you haven't read the book, Ant, featured behind me by Chris Hine, go do it. Like his entire life is an underdog story. Like he's not supposed to be here. Like Rudy's a pretty big underdog story. Like, you know, a not very well off kid turning into what he has out of France. Like Jaden, underdog story. Like this team loves to be underdogs. Honestly, like the only guy on the team that doesn't have an underdog story is like Dante. Like you even look at Julius, he snapped his leg 2 games into his career, and then got like shipped off for AD in the Pelicans trade. Like that guy, I think after his injury, a lot of people didn't think he'd be coming back and be playing a decade later, but like they do need to kind of be underdogs. They really like it when people don't believe in them, which mission accomplished, I guess, if that's their goal. But again, I think I'm still firmly in they'll make the playoffs, and I think they'll win a round, maybe 2 if the seeding shakes out right, where they're not playing like Denver then Oklahoma City. But I do agree with you. Like they do like to be underdogs. Joseph, they don't have another gear on defense with the second unit. Agreed. They kind of need Rudy in there to be where they are on defense. When he's out, it struggles mightily. Also, like when Jaden's out, the defense falls off quite a bit too. It's not talked about as much as Rudy's, just because like Rudy, they go from like the 3rd best defense to the worst in the league when he's out of the game. But like Jaden, they see a pretty decent drop as well. That is kind of like a testament to just the depth isn't there behind them. Pack mentality, bench lineup with Rudy is good. Yep. Jaden dribbling concerns me at times. Yep. No notes. Jaden is such an interesting dribbler because it never looks like he's in control of it, but like somehow it works most of the time. Bench lineup with Rudy, like I think the sneaky thing with that is just like they pass to him. Like I think I've said it on a couple pods, like it's really hard to be the guy that's sitting here banging your fist on the table that like they need to pass the ball to Rudy more when, you know, he has such loud gaffes as he does. He had another one tonight where like jumped up for a rebound and just like bear hugged the air and the ball just like hit him in the knee and went out of bounds. Like those are loud mistakes that I think make teammates not as willing to pass to him. But like the bench does, Io passes to him, works really well with him. You can tell Io is like put in the time already to try and figure out Rudy. I think Kyle and Rudy have like an awesome connection dating back from when they were last year. And Nas looks for Rudy pretty well too. Jaden does too. It's really like an Aunt Julius Dante problem that they don't pass it to Rudy as much, if I'm going to be honest. Mr. Goat over on YouTube adds, what a joke that game was by the Warriors against the Timberwolves tonight at home. Warriors played absolutely pathetic tonight at home. I mean, I will give them a little bit of the benefit of doubt of like a third of their team is injured, but like they had a chance, like down 7, I think with 8 minutes left. You could kind of feel the Wolves were reeling a little bit. And then I think like Jaden hit like a mid-ranger because nobody filled a gap. And it's just kind of like there's an alternate reality where the Warriors win this game. Like the Wolves did not play good enough to say like there's no way the Warriors wouldn't have had a chance, which like I don't know if I'd say it was a pathetic game by the Warriors, but like they had a chance to win it. I'm gonna run a couple ads here just while I'm getting some hydration, and then when we come back, I'll just keep it going with chat. As long as you guys are entertained, we'll keep chatting. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. All right. Thanks to our sponsors. As always, they are awesome. Appreciate them as always. And it is almost deck season. So if you are thinking of refurbishing a deck, remodeling a deck, getting a deck added onto your house or abode, Firehawk Construction, that is their kind of go-to jam over the summers, is building people's decks and fixing decks that are old and rotten. So feel free to give them a call anytime. Let them know that we sent you. Let's keep doing a little bit of a chat here. Ren says we need Pat Bev back. I think he's dealing with some legal stuff right now, so I'm not going to touch bringing Pat Bev back. Timberwolves wouldn't have beaten the Warriors if Steph played. I mean, honestly, like Mr. Goat, I think what's so interesting with the Wolves is they probably would have played better if Steph played. Like this is the most bizarre thing to explain to like other fan bases, is like when Wolves fans and we in the media see that a Steph Curry is out or a Kawhi Leonard is out or Giannis is out, like it's almost like chalk it up as an L with this team this year. just has been weird. I see Ad talk about a lucky win for the Wolves. Like I do agree with you. Like the Wolves played like one really good quarter, and then it was just a lot of just Ant making shots, which you got to give it to him at this point. Like he has shown that he's able to do that, but at the same time, it's the Warriors definitely had a chance. Joseph, I see your chat here. Julius has been a problem since the All-Star break. So I have a piece coming out tomorrow. Shameless plug, self-promotion over on Zone Coverage. That is breaking down Julius's kind of season. And the first 20 games of the season, Julius was incredible. Like the Wolves were 12-8. They weren't a very good team, but Julius was phenomenal. Like better net rating than Jokic, shooting like 37%, like 85%, 7 free throws a game. I think he was 23.7 rebounds and 6 assists with just 2 turnovers. Wonderful. It is literally like the second the clock hit December, it's just disappeared. Like his net rating from the first 20 games to the last 40 or 40ish or whatever we're at now has dropped by like 8 points, which is insane because the Wolves have been on like a 62% winning pace since December hit. So like the fact that your second best player's net rating has tanked, but the team is winning more, it's just bizarre. So I would even say that like Julius has really been kind of a problem since trade deadline stuff started circulating in like early to mid December, whenever those first reports of like the Wolves are looking to sell high on Julius. I don't know if that's the reason. I've also seen reporting from like John Krasinski, and like I'm at every Wolves practice when they're at home. Like he does miss I wouldn't say like a fair amount of practices, but like he's missed practices because of injuries and popped up on the injury report for like back and shoulder stuff. Like, I don't know. I hate to give someone like a cop out of like trade deadline or injuries or whatever it is, because like nothing's really been reported on it. I mean, Julius has been honest that like the trade deadline sucks. Like Jaden, Nas, all of those guys have been honest that like, yeah, it sucks when you really enjoy living in a place and playing for a team, and then you see your name on every rumor. Like it's kind of flattering, but at the end of the day, it's like they have families and it sucks that you might have to move. But like, I don't know what it is with Julius. I think that's going to be another after the season, like stuff will start coming out. Like, oh, Julius had like a partially dislocated disc in his back for half the year. Not reporting that, just saying it snarkily of like something like that'll come out. Cause like he doesn't seem right. He doesn't look right playing. He doesn't look like he did the first 20 games. Doesn't look like he did in the playoffs. I hate to give people like cop-outs on stuff that like we don't know for fact, but like something's going on. I don't know if it's mental, I don't know if it's injury, but like it has been tough. And again, like the Wolves are kind of winning in spite of it, which like if Julius could turn back and be October, November Julius going into the playoffs, like this team would probably be third or fourth on finals favorites, but it is what it is, right? Pack mentality. No, you would be going to OKC, face those demons, get them a point guard. Yeah, I mean that's the tough part, right? If the playoffs started today, you're playing. Well, I think it's the Lakers are the 3 seed now. I don't know. It changes every day. Like you're playing the Lakers, and then you're playing Spurs, and then you're playing Oklahoma City. Like I still kind of like that path, but like if they have to play a fully healthy Denver and then Oklahoma City and then the Spurs, like that's just tough. Keep it on with the chat. Cole, Ant needs a real second option. He shouldn't have to get 40 against that team. No notes. I agree. I think there's kind of 2 team building philosophies, if I could like be so bold. Like I do think there's kind of 2 philosophies in the NBA now, where it's not really a big 3 anymore. It's more of like a big 2. Like the teams that have done big 3s, like you look at Philly, they weren't all that good. And then now Paul George is suspended. Like if you have like two guys you really like a 1A and Ant and then a 1B, I think you can get pretty darn far with that. But like you need two bona fide like all-star, like a superstar and an all-star caliber player. Like I don't know, Luka and LeBron, I guess, but like it might be like Luka and AR at this point. Like you just kind of need that, like Shea and J-Dub, or the other, I guess, philosophy that I'm kind of looking at a lot is you just have your one megastar and then you just have 7 solid guys that can rotate in. And as long as 2 of them are hot on any given night, like you feel pretty good. That's looking more at like the Spurs kind of, you know, I understand people say like, oh, De'Aaron Fox is so much better, or like Stephon Castle is a really good player, but like they're not like, again, I get De'Aaron Fox like has made all-star games, but they're like the same like all-star caliber as like Julius, right? Like they're not like bona fide all NBA guys. They have like the Wemby of it all, and then they just have 7 dudes that are awesome. The Wolves are right in between that kind of model. They have like Ant as a 1A, and then they have like Julius, Rudy, who are both like better than just an awesome role player guy that would fit the second kind of team building strategy, but neither of them are like good enough to be like the borderline all NBA, all-star, like your bona fide second guy. And then they have like 3 role players that are like kind of fit into that second build, like Jaden, Nas, Dante. I guess Io you could throw in there now, but like they're still kind of missing 2 because they're 2 like marquee names just aren't at that marquee level. They're just in this really weird spot, which again, that's why I'm so confident they're gonna make a move. Like you either have to trade Randall for pieces and go into that full kind of Ant surrounded by just really solid guys that know their role, know where to be, smart, hard-nosed players, or you need to pair one of those guys that you have, like an Io or a Dante or a Jaden or a Nas, to Rudy, and then to Julius, and then you go try and get like that second borderline all NBA guy, which again, tough. It's a decision I don't want to make. I'm glad I just get to write about it and Tim Conley gets to do it, because like I don't want to deal with it. Cole adds, I never say hate, but I hate watching Randall next to Ant. Iceberg says Julius once again was horrendous. Iceberg also notes that Finch sat him in the 4th, which he did. Like that was a pretty clear, I'd say, kind of benching for Julius. I mean, he normally goes to the bench with like 7 or 8 minutes left when Ant checks back in, but like I do think this was we need Nas out there just so the fit. We can't lose this, essentially. Like we can't risk putting Julius in there and having a couple blow bys and then it's a tied game. And it worked out. Again, I would argue like against this team, like this current iteration of the Warriors, you shouldn't really need to do that, but like tough. The Randall of it all, we've talked about it quite a bit tonight, but like it is a tough fit. Like Ren mentions here the Randall and Ant combo is not a good combo. Never thought I'd say that. I'd rather have Cat next to Ant over Randall. Like I do think that's what's borne out the most over this season is like Ant probably needs to be like a 35% usage guy. He needs to be a Luka, needs to be a Shea. Like I do think his playmaking is going to get better as years go on. Like I think again, my kind of consistent comp with him is Harden, just from like the shooting and the being able to get inside. Harden always had like a good post work. Now Harden was more of like a foul baiter. Ant certainly doesn't do that, or at least he hasn't like mastered that yet. But like Harden also didn't really figure out like the whole offensive side of things as far as like being a distributor until he was in his like 5th, 6th or 7th year. I think it was after his OKC days. I think it was his 2nd or 3rd year in Houston. And it just kind of clicked where he's like, oh, okay, yeah, now I just can sling the ball to the corner and Ryan Anderson will hit a three. Like, I think Cat fit that mold a lot better for Ant, where like Cat is a willing knockdown 3-point shooter. Granted, he doesn't shoot a lot of contested ones. And like Cat also does have like a little more juice, like when he didn't travel or elbow someone in the head. He did have a little bit more juice, like going to the rim. Again, I understand the trade. They kind of had to make it, right? If you have Cat on this team at a 50 whatever he is $1 million salary hit, you have Ant at 50 something million, and then you have Jaden at 30. That is your entire roster. Like, you don't have any more moves. You're just second apron. Like, it is kind of doom and gloom. I think that's kind of what we're going to start seeing with teams that didn't break up assets in the next couple of years, is like, you're just going to have teams with like 2 super high paid guys and like nothing else. Logan Meyer adds, the starters definitely think twice about dumping it down to him. I'm guessing that's in regards to Gobert. It is. Again, I wish I knew like truth serum, get it into them and know like what the like reasoning is for it, because like Rudy is a pretty statistically like solid post player when you just feed him, but it's just not ideal. Just not ideal. Closing with just to catch up here on a couple more, maybe call the Raptors and ask about BI. Like that's an idea. Like, I think BI would be a good fit. I have been on the Sabonis train. I think he's a really gifted rebounder, can shoot okay from outside, really gifted passer that like is a willing ball mover. Like, I think he's a guy kind of similar to Jaden, where like he would rather pass and set someone up than score for himself. Brandon Ingram, I think, is a little bit more ball dominant, but also like he's been awesome in Toronto with like sharing the load with Scotty Barnes. So I think that could work. Like, I think that is a realistic chance. Pack mentality immediately says no Sabonis. Fair. Everyone has their people they like and don't like. I do think, I'm sure this summer, like Ja Morant will come up again. Obviously, salaries are pretty similar. There is going to be a lot of Ja or a lot of Ant needs a point guard conversation, which we're kind of talking about here. Kyrie, I think, is obviously going to get brought up again. Kevin Durant, I think, is obviously going to get brought up again, just because like it seems like that Houston thing is just really, really weird. I think my preference would be to try and find a guy younger than Ant and Jaden that a team's willing to like give up on. Like, are the Wizards willing to give up on? The Wizards are a bad example because I don't think I'd really want anyone on the Wizards. But like, is a team willing to give the example I was going to use is like, are the Wizards willing to give up on Sarr? Like, 3 years into his career, he's been solid but not great. If you could get like Sarr and Koulibaly for Randall, like, probably doesn't make you a championship favorite, but then you have a young power forward to play behind Nas and Rudy. He fits like the Johan, Ant, Jaden, Nas timeline better. Like, I think they just need to get younger. And I know the Kyrie stuff, like, I am a huge Kyrie guy. Like, as Farah has brought up, as Pack Mentality brought up, like, I am right there with you. Like, if it was a for sure Kyrie is 100% and has that burst still, I think it makes a ton of sense. Like, I think Kyrie solves kind of the basketball IQ issue of like, I think a lot of guys don't move on this team because if they move, it risks Julius throwing a pass into the fourth row by thinking his outlets in the corner, and they're not. Ant kind of needs stationary guys when breaking out of double teams because like he has his reads. And I don't think either of them are really at the point where they can like read like Ant at age 28 is going to be completely different than Ant is now. Right now, it's like Kyrie, you get him in though, and like all of a sudden now Jaden can back cut and Kyrie's going to find him. Like, Rudy's can stand under the basket and beg for a lob, and like Kyrie's gonna find him. Like, I think the issue with Kyrie is like 33 years old, coming off an ACL tear. I always hear that like people love that dude in the NBA, but he's also played on like Boston, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Dallas, 4 or 5 teams in his career. Like, it's just, that's tough. Like, I just don't know if I would be, if I was Tim Connolly, I don't know if I'd be willing to make that risk. But again, like, as for us, as a little bit later on, what Kyrie was doing with Luka is exactly what this team needs. Like, absolutely. Like, he was kind of the fire and ice, right? Where like, Luka goes off to the bench and you just have a guy that's willing to get people involved, that can hit shots on his own. He's kind of a steady hand, better as a defender than I think he's gotten credit for. It's just a lot of risk with that. Tim Garrison, who was on the pod on Wednesday, brought up DeJounte Murray. Like, I think that's another guy that I think makes more sense. He's a little bit younger, injury plagued, like, could work out. But again, kind of my hope would be getting a little bit younger, not older. But the pushback to that, then I'll fully acknowledge it. Like, the pushback to that is like, you are now on a timetable with Ant where the window has been broken open and every year is an opportunity. If you think that Kyrie gives you a chance at a title, same with the Giannis trade. Like, if you can get Giannis and you feel like that's your best chance at a title, like, gotta go for it. I think I'm just a little biased, like, being in the locker room, talking to these guys. Like, I want Jaden to be here his whole career. Same with Nas, same with Ant. Like, Mike can keep playing for 35 years and be the headband bench guy. Like, I don't want to see the team get completely nuked so that they can get a Giannis. But like, again, if they think, hey, we can trade Randall and Io and get Kyrie to make the money work, and Kyrie, Ant, Jaden, Nas, Rudy with a Dante, Johan, and TJ bench is good enough to win a ring, like, I'm not going to fault them. We're at that 43-minute mark though, so I am going to call it here. I'm just going to scroll up to see if there's any other comments that I missed. Teresa, nice to see you in here. Love the laughing emojis. And yes, they did win. We're being very negative for a win. But I think it's the part of this that'll be the most fun for me is going to be just seeing how they show up against Oklahoma City, because I think there is a non-0% chance that they show up awesome against Oklahoma City. They win that game and they're coming back into town on Monday, and the vibe will have completely flipped 3 different times over a 7 to 8 day period, which only the Wolves, as Logan says, weird team. It's just a weird team. For anyone that joined into this late though, this does get posted over on YouTube and X as a live stream video, lives on forever. If you need to watch it at 12:20 at night or in the morning, it's not even night anymore, I guess technically, it'll be over there. If you can wait until tomorrow morning though, it does get released as a podcast over on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get them. At the Missing Wolves feed comes out at 7 a.m. and we'll be back on Sunday. Andrew Carlson from Canis Hoopus will be joining me, and then Crunch from the Sideline Vibes podcast. We're going to try running a little bit more 3 or 4 man kind of teams here just to see how it goes. Tonight I'm riding solo. Guest had to back out for a family emergency last second, and I didn't want to subject any of my on-call people to a grouchy Andrew at 12 in the morning. Anyways, we'll catch you all after that Oklahoma City game. And as always, thanks for listening.